So this year's coming to an end, which means several things. First of all, Christmas. What should I buy that special someone? Jewelry? That's a little too extreme. Candy? A little too cheap. Teddy bears or stuffed animals? A little too young. Others are thinking about school and their grades, and you're thinking, you know what? Jesus turned water into wine. Maybe he can turn this really bad grade into an A. Probably not gonna happen. Another great thing about the end of a year means a new year is almost here. A new beginning, a fresh start, a clean slate. But before we get there, another great thing about the end of a year is we get to stop. We have the opportunity to reflect and rewind and look at the past year. And tonight at Switch, that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're going to rewind. Jesus set the example and he served others. Why is that? Because Jesus understood that serving is greater than being served. I know as we hear that, that may not make a lot of sense because our culture tells us a totally different message. Culture's gonna say, hey, being served is greater than serving. If you're not first, you're last. If you have the power, use it for yourself. Make a name for yourself. Yeah, Jesus came to this earth and he said something totally different.
I don't know, sometimes it's like they don't really want to give the time for it. People my age, like 18, 19, 17, they're too cool for it, or they got better things going on or party somewhere, so.
They don't have time, they just don't want to, as I said earlier, they don't want to put forth the effort, because whenever you come here, you have to give 110%, and some kids have homework to do, or just things like that.
I don't think they serve because they think they're shy, or they think they don't won't know what to do, or that they don't, people don't think it's cool.
I think a lot of them think of it as they're giving up a lot and they're having to sacrifice, but really when you are sacrificing, you get so much more out of it, and it's so much more rewarding than consuming. And I think they don't get that until you actually do it yourself.
If you make time for this, you'll feel like you have more time. You'll feel like everything else falls into place, because that's how it was for me. I was like, oh, I'm so busy, I have so much homework, I have so much school and all this other stuff I have to do, and then I started serving both on Wednesdays and on Sundays sometimes, and I realized that I had more time than I thought.
I mean, just for me, it helps me to grow closer to God, you know, because Jesus was a servant, and so like it just feels really good for me to be able to have that opportunity of getting to follow Christ and do that stuff.
What exactly do we receive from Jesus? Have you ever thought about that? I mean, he provides us love and joy and peace and patience and goodness and faithfulness and self-control. Think about it for a second. What would your life be like if you didn't have love or joy or peace? Honestly, there's not a whole lot to rejoice about.
Well, I've definitely grown spiritually, for sure. Like, you can't help but grow spiritually. When you're around students and you are pouring into them, you have to pour into yourself.
I think some people that volunteer, I think I should be just like them because it's for God, not for anybody else.
I think it's done a lot in my life. I think it's given me courage and heart and just love for people. I think it's been great for me.
There's so many people who are so much different than you are, and you just learn so much about how to deal with other people and how to accept them for who they are and what they know, and like you learn so much just about different walks of life.
Jesus seems to make things fun when we're actually following him. So many people think that the Christian life, and when you're following Christ, man, it means that your life becomes suddenly like boring or predictable. And you know what? This is true for many Christ followers. I mean, all that ever happens is they show up to church and they never serve other people. And then they tend to wonder, why is this Christian life not so life-changing? We don't expect miracles these days. We don't expect God to use us. We don't expect it to be fun either. Therefore, a lot of us, we don't get dirty, we don't serve. And this isn't what Jesus had in mind. One of my favorite trips that I ever went on and got to serve people was in New York City. We went to something called the New York City Relief Bus, and we served in New York City in some of the roughest areas for 3 days. When I say serve, I mean the fact that we were out there from 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. all 3 days. It was so much fun because, man, I was having a blast doing it, hanging out with my friends, serving other people, and I knew I was doing exactly what God was calling me to do.
and I knew that there was nothing in the world that I'd rather be doing than that right there. The truth is that we come alive when we go out and we serve other people and we get dirty doing it. And many of us, we go on mission trips. And we serve other people with the mindset that we're going out there to impact their lives.
Really, it's the best place to meet new friends and meet people and stuff, so, yeah.
I've really gotten to know other kids and be around other people more from this church. I've just gotten to express myself more, and I really like helping the church.
I know that what I'm supposed to be doing, but being able to come in here and say, or being able to come in here and actually do stuff with the church and actually like work with the church it's great for me, because this is what I did, and it's finally got me closer to like on the right path of my walk with God. So,
well, personally, it doesn't really matter if I have energy or not, just because you get sort of an adrenaline rush from serving and helping other people. It doesn't matter if I'm dead tired, I can just get up and do it.
Do you know why most of us never become great? It's because it's when these decisions come up, we take the easy road. When things get hard, we stop. What is keeping you from being a great friend? What is keeping you from being a great student? What is keeping you from being a great son or daughter? What is keeping you from being a great follower of Christ? What is keeping you from being great?
I thought that we couldn't do much because we're too young, or just people don't think we're responsible enough to help, but we really are.
I think it's different for every person, like what they like to do to energize themselves and get ready to get back out there and help more people.
Well, I don't think it's really possible to follow God and not serve, because as a Christian, you're supposed to represent Christ, and he would have served other people, and he did. So if we're supposed to be representing him, then we should serve too. Serving,
to me, is really one of the biggest things that Jesus ever showed by example, and that everything he did was serving his Father, and then serving his disciples and serving the people by teaching them, and by sharing kind of his gifts with them and all that. So there's nothing to me that connects that spiritual growth with physical life more so than serving. You know, it's one of the best examples we have of living like Christ.
The Bible says, "For even the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve others and to give his life as a ransom for many." So why did Jesus come? He came to serve and to give. That's why he came. That is Jesus' story. We all have a story. And soon the page known as 2010 is going to turn. And the question is what's that story going to be about? Is it going to be about you and what you got and what you wore and what crowd you hung out with and what kind of reputation you had? Or is it going to be about God and what you did for him and how you impacted others and the people you stuck up for and the difference you made? As we wrap up the year 2010 and enter into the year 2011, I want you to understand this principle. Live this life the way you want to tell it. If you want your story to be about a nice person, be nice. If you want your story to be funny, do funny things. If you want your story to be about somebody who gets all the toys and all the cool things, well, work hard and buy all those things. But if you want your life to matter, focus on the things that matter. The Bible puts it this way: don't store up treasures here on earth where moth eats them and rust destroys them and where thieves break in and steal. Store your treasures in heaven where moth and rust can't destroy and thieves do not break in and steal. Wherever your treasure is, there the desires of your heart will also be. What was the treasure for you this past year? What will the next paragraph in your story say? How will the story end? Live this life the way you want to tell it.